everyone. So welcome to my channel. Originally I was going to talk to you today about my latest 5-star reads, but I decided that was kind of boring. So instead I'm going to grab books off one of my shelves and we're going to just go over those and see if we could discover a new book for you. Okay, so I grabbed the books that I'm going to go over with you today. And they're in no particular order. I've read some of them a while ago. I read some of them recently. Some of them are old. Some of them are new, popular, not popular. But yeah, bear with me and I will let you know what I think about them and what they're about briefly. And perhaps you will pick up a book that you've never thought of reading before and and read it and enjoy it. So the first one I'm going to talk about is called Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. I read this one a while ago. I believe some would say that it's a YA book. I didn't really think of it as a YA book. It takes place, if memory serves me, here, let me see. When tragedy strikes in your own home, when death and deception are around every corner, how far are you willing to go to fix what is broken? So yes, I did read this a while ago. It takes place on a native reserve and it's about a murder that takes place, and a young girl has to figure out why the murder took place. I don't remember a lot about it because I probably read this, God, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago. It was written in copyright 2021. And I was hoping that it would say something a little bit about the book. I do remember enjoying it. It's a quick read. It's not a very difficult book to follow. It's a lot of fun. Well, fun. It's about murder, so I wouldn't say it's fun, but it was a quick read. And yes, I do remember. So yeah, it's I don't want to say murder mystery, but it's kind of murder mystery. I think you'll like it. I think it's a quick read. It's a fairly good book. I don't remember what I rated it, but yeah, give it a try. I think it's worth your time. The next one is Susanna Clarke's Piranesi. I never know how to say this properly. I know this book was popular. I did not enjoy it. I kept waiting for something to happen and pretty much nothing happened, or that I missed the point. It wasn't, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it. I don't really think I need to tell you what it's about. Piranesi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite, its corridors endless, its walls lined with thousands upon thousands of statues. So this guy finds himself in this place by himself, and it's sort of like a ruins, like a ruins from Athens type in my head, kind of. That's what it looks like. Like it said, there's statues everywhere, pillars everywhere. He's trying to figure out why he's there. Somebody else shows up, and I don't know. I found it really boring. If you've read it, I know lots of people have read it and you enjoyed it, I would really love to hear your comments about what it was you liked about it. And maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset to read it. Yeah. The next one I'm going to mention is one that I read recently, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. I'm pretty sure this is coming out in a movie. This was really popular. It was on some list, I think the New York Times bestseller lists or something like that. I started reading one of his other books. End of the Day, something like that. Remains of the Day, I think it's called. And I didn't finish it. This one, I thought it was okay. I guess I'm not of the majority there. So they say memories, even your most precious ones, fade surprisingly quickly, but I don't go along with that. The memories I value most, I don't ever see them fading. So what it's about, I don't know. I don't like telling people too much about a book because I don't want to ruin it for you. But it's these kids are growing up in not a foster system. I mean, I guess we could compare it to a foster system. They don't have parents. They're brought up in a institution. And the reason for that is that they're being used, damn it, I don't want to say. As children, Kathy H. and her friends Ruth and Tommy were students at Halsham, an exclusive boarding school secluded in the English countryside. It was a place of mercurial cliques and mysterious rules where teachers were constantly reminding their charges of how special they were. Now, years later, Kathy's a young woman. Ruth and Tommy have re-entered her life, and for the first time, she is beginning to look back at their shared past and understand just what it is that makes them special and how that darkest of gifts will shape the rest of their time together. So, yeah, I mean, I can't really tell you what it's about without kind of giving away the whole plot, so I don't want to. I found it boring. Yeah, so if you liked it, let me know why. So, next one, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagira. This one also has been quite popular over the last couple of years. I read it probably when it first came out. I read it a while ago. I have to say that I put it down a few times. Actually, I put it aside like for a long period of time, a month perhaps, mostly because it was just making me so sad and depressed. This has been described, I saw someone describe this book as something porn, like, oh God, I can't think of the word, like sympathy porn? No, that's not what it was. I don't remember. Anyways, it's a very sad book. So A Little Life follows 4 college classmates broke adrift and buoyed only by their friendship and ambition as they move to New York in search of fame and fortune. While their relationships, which are tinged by addiction, success, and pride, deepen over the decades, the men are held together by their devotion to the brilliant, enigmatic Jude, a man scarred by an unspeakable childhood trauma, a hymn to brotherly bonds, and a masterful depiction of love in the 21st century. Yeah, it's a stunning novel about families we're born into and those that we make for ourselves. I remember this book. I'll never forget this book. Was it good? It was beautifully written. Jude, I just wanted him to freaking get a break in life. Like, if you thought horrible things happened to him and you're like, okay, he's had some bad things, can't get much worse. It gets worse. Like, it gets so worse. And like, even as an adult, his relationships are horrific. And I don't know if I would be the same way. I mean, if these horrible things happened to me in my youth, and as I got older, certain circumstances came upon me, would I take the same route that he took? Yeah, it's tragic porn, I think is what it's referred to. And yes, that is a great description of this book. Just be like, I'm not big on trigger warnings and crap like that. Just realize that it's a very tough book to read because it's sad. It's just incredibly sad. So if you're not in the right mindset for that, then I wouldn't recommend it. I read it, I think it was probably January, February, and here in Canada it's a pretty dark and dismal time of year, so that probably didn't help. And as I said, I put it aside a few times just because it was incredibly depressing. Yeah, so if you're into that, well then yeah, it's a great book for you. On a lighter note, A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman. I love everything this man has ever written. And this was the first book I read by him, and probably got me back into reading. It's just, I mean, I know there's a movie with Hank. Oh my God, I just had a blank there. Tom Hanks. So there's a movie with Tom Hanks, and I haven't seen it, and I probably won't see it just because I know it'll just kind of like won't be as good as the book, I imagine. So excuse me, in case you don't know what it's about, Ove is almost certainly the grumpiest man you will ever meet. He thinks himself surrounded by idiots, joggers, neighbors who can't reverse a trailer properly, shop assistants who talk in code. But isn't it rare these days to find such old-fashioned clarity of belief indeed? Such unswerving conviction about what the world should be and a lifelong dedication to making it just so. In the end, you will see there is something about Ove that is quite irresistible. I cried out loud. I sobbed. Like, I'm even now getting teary-eyed just thinking about this book. And it does make me sad, even though it's a cliche. It does make me sad to know that I can never read this book again for the first time. It's not a very thick book. I just loved it. Yeah, if you're in a reading slump and you need something to get over that slump, then I would definitely recommend A Man Called Ove. I don't like giving away too much, but it says it all here. He's grumpy. He lives in a neighborhood where, you know, he's got neighbors who call on him for this and that and try to help him and try to be nice and neighborly, and he's just miserable. But deep down inside, or not even deep down inside, he is miserable on the surface, but he's got such a huge good heart. So yes, give this a go. So I've got two more. I'm gonna start with the one that I didn't like. So 15 Dogs by Andre Alexis, Canadian author. There you go. So the premise, well, let me just read it so I don't want to ruin anything for anybody. And so it begins, a bet between the gods Hermes and Apollo leads them to grant human consciousness and language to a group of dogs who are overnighting at a Toronto veterinarian clinic. Suddenly capable of more complex thought, the pack is torn between those who resist the new ways of thinking, preferring the old dog ways, and those who embrace the change. So the gods are watching from above, and they make bets, and they're not supposed to like interfere, but of course they do. And yeah, it's so it's narrated by the dogs themselves, and like it says, there's two different groups. One who are embracing this new ability to think like humans and talk like humans, mind you, like, and then the other side doesn't. I read this a little while ago. It's won prizes. I mean, yeah, it really wasn't my cup of tea. It was different. It was okay. But would I recommend it? No, I don't think I would recommend this to you. Yeah, it was But the last one, so Amar Towles, The Lincoln Highway. Yeah, like I can't believe how thick this book was, because quite honestly, well, actually the writing's quite large and spacious, so it probably didn't need to be this thick. He's the writer of A Gentleman in Moscow and Rules of Civility, which I haven't read, but Gentleman in Moscow is another book. Beautiful, like such a beautiful book. And I can remember that when the series came out, I was telling my husband about it, and it sounds like such a boring premise because it literally takes place in a hotel, one man's life in a hotel. It sounds boring, but we loved the series and I absolutely loved the book. So it's another one of those books like A Man Called Ove, where I wish that I could read it over again because it was so good. So The Lincoln Highway, very, very different from A Gentleman in Moscow. But still really good. So what it is this this family. So a brother gets arrested. I think he gets into a fight. Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember. Anyways, gets arrested. He goes to a detention center for youth, juvenile detention center. And then he gets out, like he serves his time, he gets out, and he's going to come get his brother because his father, forgive me, I read this a while ago. His father is no longer in the picture. I can't remember if he died. I think he might have died. The mother is gone. So the brother comes home and he's going to take his little brother, and they're going to go along the Lincoln Highway, and they're going to try and find their mother. But their whole adventure gets sidetracked because And again, me being me and not wanting to ruin it for anybody, I'll just, okay, so yeah, so it says it on the cover here. So two friends that were from the farm, they call it a farm, but it was like a juvenile, I guess a juvenile detention farm, have hidden themselves in the trunk of the warden's car. So the warden car, he was driving Emmett home. And it was his intention to pick up his 8-year-old brother, Billy, and they were going to head to California. So anyways, these two hide in the vehicle and like escape from the juvenile detention center. Oh, and I should mention, it's in 1954. That's an important part I should have mentioned. So the book takes place in 1954. So those two that are in the back of the car get out at Emmett's property, and they sort of like take over the whole idea of Emmett's adventure because they want him to drive him somewhere else, like New York City, I believe. Yeah, for reasons I'm not going to bother telling you. Anyways, it's quite an adventure that these guys go on, and it was awesome. Like this kid, Billy, the youngest brother, is like, wow. And a lot of the things that happened to them, you couldn't do that today because like the kid gets left alone a lot, and you know, they go into with strangers and stuff like that. Like nowadays you wouldn't really do that, but I guess in 1954 you would. So I would definitely, this is probably the closest to a 5-star, this one for sure. And A Man Called Ove, both of this batch are either 4.5, I'd say 4.5 stars. Yeah, definitely. So give them a go, and yeah, so hopefully out of one of these books you pick it up and you enjoy it. Thanks. Have a good evening.